Hello, everybody. I'm here to explain the change initiative that we are proposing at Arlington County Schools. So essentially what the initiative is that we want to adopt blended learning during summer courses for social studies classes. And the purpose of this is going to serve is a couple reasons. One, we want to increase the enrollment of summer classes, so there is going to be more students. And two, especially in a summer environment, when you have families traveling and other different events that might get in the way, is something that's normally looked at as time away from school, students can still get their education and not have to give away many of the commitments that they've already made for the summertime. So we would like students that are on individualized learning plans to adopt this blended learning environment and take social studies over the summer rather than take it during the traditional fall to spring school year. The reason for this is these students sacrifice a class period every day to work with intervention specialists, and if we can have them taking their social studies class over the summer, it'll free up a class period during the school year for them to take either an elective or get an additional study hall or something along those lines, so that they're open to the exact same opportunities as every other student, because they have to give up that one class to meet with their intervention specialist. And then also, I really think that it will help many students be able to organize their course load during the school year, because they'll have one last core class that is going to require them to write a lot of essays and create projects. So it'll just give them more time and make it more manageable. Another good thing about blended learning is that it works at a student-paced in a student-paced environment and really utilizes a lot of project-based learning, which really helps the teacher for differentiation purposes. And in the case of IEP students, I think it could really help when you have a wide variety of learning styles. And then also for students who have to retake a social studies course, I think taking it in a blended learning environment might provide them a new opportunity to learn, considering the first go around, obviously they weren't able to perform very well in a traditional environment, and maybe a blended environment would just better fit their learning style. Our platform is we will be using Canvas. We find that Canvas is the most popular and one of the best LMS systems there are out there. It gives a great amount of opportunity just within the app for teachers and students. One, you post assignments on there, students will submit their work. They also have abilities to view their grades and get feedback digitally. So especially in a blended learning environment, the fact that they can get feedback from their teacher digitally is huge, since we won't be meeting in class every day. The calendar view is also very useful, so that students, they don't even need to make their own agendas or anything like that. All of their courses will just automatically load assignments to their calendar, so they can quickly look at the calendar. It actually also will create a daily to-do list for them to complete the assignments and ensure that they're turned in, which is an incredibly useful feature. Google Drive is also easily embeds into the Canvas platform. So considering a lot of our projects will be done using that, it will be very useful to have something that's very compatible. And videos is enormous, how easy it is to embed YouTube videos, because since it's a blended learning environment, we're not meeting every day. They will need to watch a lot of different videos, whether they're screencasts of PowerPoints or just other instructional videos that we find online that we want to share with our class. It'll be easy for them to access it. Some collaborative technologies. We're going to be using primarily Google, and you'll see here when I show our sample project-based learning assignment that we'll be using, you'll see how Google can be used in a variety of different ways, not even just creating a Word document that's shared between other people. How using the entire suite is very useful, particularly with Google Hangouts, Google Slides. Numbers has got a lot of great features, and as we go through this, you'll see. So the online activity that we've put together is in a fictional government class, and the students will be learning about public policy and essentially creating their own interest group. I've attached screenshots to the PowerPoint here for you guys to visualize what it will look like from the student view. So they'll see the whole unit. As you can see, everything is listed out by dates. So this would be going on from June 4th through the 8th. And every day has its own content page. If you were to click on each of these content pages, all the information the students need for that day will be on there. So essentially, when the student logs on in the morning from whichever location they're in, they can see a daily rundown from the teacher that easily will show them what tasks they'll need to complete. So an example here is this is the first day. So if you were to click on that 6-4, so right there at the top, you click on 6-4-18, this is what would pop up. And they'll see this is just the introduction to their assignment. At the top, there's 2 turn-ins assignments. If they click on that link, it'll bring them to the turn-in page, and they could easily submit their assignments there. And you'll see it has very specific directions for what it is the student will need to be completing throughout the day. So it's very easily broken down. This project will require them to work in groups, so it is important that we have these collaborative technologies that Google makes very easy and useful to work through, and that's primarily why we're choosing Google. So one of the things that they're going to be doing in their groups is they do need to go on Google Hangouts. So Google Hangouts is a platform where students can all log in at the same time and be in the same group chat at the exact same time. They could do this through webcam, voice, or even text, but we're going to really encourage our students to use either the webcam or the voice feature. It's essentially a conference call, so they can all be talking to each other all at the same time and simultaneously working on their projects while they're in this group. So they'll have the Google Hangouts up and all be communicating and have a Google document or a Google Slides page up, and they can work on it all at the same time. One thing that we do ask is that they are creating meeting write-ups is what we're calling them. So for this identifying the solution assignment that they have due on June 6th, they will have to, if you look down there in the bottom, they will have to identify a solution, and then they have 4 questions that I want them to answer, and I want them to put this in their write-up for the meeting. So as a group, they have to come together and do that. Also, they do need to attach a screenshot that just shows evidence of them being in the meeting. We really want to make sure that they are working together collaboratively and that everyone is joined. This is just another day. You'll see today is the day they're really making the presentation. We're not requiring a Google Hangout for this meeting, but for any of the research, I do want them using Google Hangouts in order to collaborate with one another. As far as the assessments of the program go, project-based learning really fits in well with a blended learning environment, and that's why, particularly when you saw the last assignment and the module that we showed you, it is a project-based learning assignment. Since we're not meeting every day, and a lot of this is done electronically, doing traditional paper and pencil tests can be somewhat difficult because online it's very hard. It's very difficult to ensure that the students are 100% being honest with where they're getting their information from. because we can't monitor it. So most of the traditional paper and pencil tests that we will be having will be on those meeting days when they come in. However, we do need to reduce the total amount of those that we would normally have and move to more project-based learning and summative assessments, just to, or I'm sorry, not summative, formative assessments, just to make sure that we're getting honest measurements of where our students are at in the material and where they sit as far as mastery is concerned. But what we really do like about project-based learning is, since these students will be creating products, in that process it will demonstrate their learning and then also have learning taking place during their project creation. There's many standards. A lot of them are ISTE standards. So if you look here at the top, we talk about how there's just different standards for students as far as technology driven, and how they could learn to use these different tools using technology. In blended learning environments, it's pretty hard to have an ineffective school that uses technology and not follow these guidelines, just because you're going to have them using so many different Web 2.0 tools. And while we're doing this, we just want to make sure that we're teaching good digital citizenship, and that they're really learning how not just to use technology, but to use it in the correct ways. Our outcomes. We expect our students to have a lot more flexibility, and be able to explore that elective class that they might not have had time for in their schedules. Now they have time for it because we're opening up that slot during the school year. So that's a huge thing. I mean, we want our students to go out there. They're young. They don't know what their best skills are. They don't even know what all their interests are. We want them to be able to take a cooking class, and an art class, technology class, as many different classes as they could, just so they can really experiment and see what it is that they really like, and really find something that they're interested in. And one problem we see is with students who are on IEPs is they don't always have that opportunity, because they have to focus so much on their core classes and then meeting with their intervention specialist. Moreover, we think that it will also improve their academic performance, because they can focus 100% on the social studies class over the summer, so they can put all of their effort into that class and not have to worry about other coursework. So their social studies grades should improve. Moreover, since they just have less total coursework from in the fall to spring semesters, they'll have more time to really work through those other classes, their maths, their sciences, etc., because they will have that extra block of time and a lower workload. They'll be exposed to a wide variety of different learning styles, which is outstanding for students who are on IEPs, because they can learn the best way for they learn, and it could really help them in the long run. And then lastly, we will be developing 21st century learners who become proficient in a variety of different technology-driven platforms. Thank you all for listening.